or you are already falling in love with me.
I'm gonna make you wish you were dead.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days draws heavily on the irresistible charisma of Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey to pull off a pretty wacky premise. Hudson's Andy bets she can scare off any man in 10 days.
Before the 10 days are up, I'm gonna have this guy running for his life.
While McConaughey swears he can win over any woman in the same period.
Any single, available straight woman, yes.
And the result is an absurdist battle of the sexes. But beyond the lighthearted fun of their silly hijinks on the road to falling in love, what is the film really saying?
I could start by dating a guy and then drive him away, but only using the classic mistakes most women, like Michelle, make all the time.
Throughout the film, we watch Andy and Ben promote regressive ideas about what men and women want, painting women as joyless, desperate relationship seekers and men as shallow commitment phobes. Both main characters are strikingly manipulative and opportunistic.
You used me to get ahead in your work.
Not to mention, as they rightly point out about each other, egotistical and vain.
You probably think this song is about you, Ben Berry, you're so vain.
Is this really a couple whose happily ever after we want to feel warm and fuzzy about? Here's our take on some of the most toxic takeaways from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, as well as one meaningful message that redeems it in the end. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified about all our new videos. Toxic takeaway number 1. Women are crazy and obsessed with landing a man.
You saying I'm some kind of mental person?
Andy's main goal is to drive away a guy by making the classic mistakes many women make in relationships.
I'll be clingy, needy, be touchy-feely.
But who actually acts the way she does? Andy pretends to be baselessly jealous.
Who is she?
Who's who?
The girl you're thinking about.
Insecure.
My boyfriend thinks I'm fat.
And suffocating.
Hi, Sweetie Pea. It's me. It's Andy. Guess you're not home. Benny Bear, are you not answering your phone? It's me.
She even goes as far as to name Ben's private parts.
Who's Princess Sophia?
These aren't classic mistakes women make, they're straight up unhinged.
Blow. Nobody likes a Mr. Sniffles.
But by casting this as expected behavior from women, the film suggests that women in general lose their minds upon encountering an attractive, eligible guy.
Did you just witness the one woman homage to The Exorcist? You saw it!
The harmful stereotype that women are crazy has been used throughout history to dismiss women's emotions. As mediums, Carolina Fialka writes, craziness has been perceived as a strictly feminine trait throughout history, making the word crazy kind of a gendered insult.
You've got more than enough personalities to keep me completely occupied.
Until not too long ago, a mental illness called hysteria, a name derived from the Greek word for the uterus, was diagnosed left and right in women whose behavior didn't comply with the societal norms of their time.
According to your diagnosis, hysteria seems to cover everything from insomnia to toothache. It's nothing more than a catch-all for dissatisfied women.
Toxic takeaway number 2. Men don't want to settle down. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days plays into old cliches by framing all early relationships as a battle of the sexes between a woman who obviously wants to settle down
It's a baby fern.
Really? Oh, yeah?
Just like our relationship.
and a man who wants to avoid that at all costs and just have meaningless sex.
Hanging with her for 10 days is going to be no problem.
Right, that's only 9 days longer than you've ever spent with any other chick, huh?
The film sets up men and women as almost two different species who want fundamentally different things from relationships, and implies that this is why so many relationships don't work out.
I even told him that I loved him.
After how many days?
5, 2.
But rather than advocating that people look for partners with similar desires, the film sends a message that relationships are normally a fight between two parties negotiating for opposite goals. Ben is horrified by Andy's moves toward commitment during their relationship.
It's gonna be a happy little family.
Obviously, she's intentionally taking it to a farcical extreme, redecorating his apartment, buying a dog, making a scrapbook of photoshopped family pictures.
I used Photoshop at work today to composite our faces together to see what our kids would look like.
But the reason she chooses these actions to put him off is to affirm her underlying assumption that any demand for commitment is an immediate turnoff for men. In fact, it's an untrue stereotype that women are always the ones pushing for a serious relationship. Professor Elizabeth Ora McClintock notes in Psychology Today, in stark contradiction to the stereotype of men as commitment-phobic players, Pew Research reports that young adult women and men are equally likely to want to marry. Toxic takeaway number 3. Still, unattainable men will fall for you if you're the cool girl. Ben is cast into another cliché, the man who thinks he doesn't want to settle down and has to be tricked into realizing he does.
It took the prince coming along for me to realize I did not want Miss Bridgerton to only be my friend, I wanted her to be my wife.
Andy tames Ben's womanizing ways, proving he just needed the right girl to see that he was actually interested in a serious relationship.
Where's the sexy, cool, fun, smart, beautiful Andy that I knew?
This sets up the false expectation that all men think they want to stay bachelors but are actually just waiting for the perfect woman. In reality, if someone repeatedly says they don't want a relationship, it's probably best to take them at their word. In showing why and how Ben does a 180 and suddenly wants to settle down with Andy,
I thought you said after the Knicks game that she was a goddess.
the film sets up a very specific idea of what version of femininity is attractive to guys.
That was the good Andy, guys. This amazing, fun, cool, sexy woman. I'm talking about the evil Andy now.
Early on, Andy's friend Michelle is distraught after being dumped by a guy she barely knew.
Only dated the guy a week. It was the best week of my life.
Andy then pretends to act like Michelle does for her article.
I'm gonna limit myself to doing everything girls do wrong in relationships. Basically, everything we know guys hate.
This whole premise sets Andy up as someone whose real personality isn't like those desperate, emotional, traditional women, but is actually the cool exception. The film makes a point of contrasting the stereotypically feminine persona that Andy uses to drive Ben away with her real, cool self.
The NBA Finals are in town and I got tickets.
For every time she drags Ben to a rom-com or a Celine Dion concert, the film has to show her cheering at a Knicks game or chowing down on a burrito. Even the way she dresses changes to be more feminine when she's trying to lose Ben. Andy rejects the female-oriented content that her magazine, Composure, produces, and the ditzy women who work there, complaining that she wants to write about politics and real issues.
I want to write about things that matter, like politics and the environment and foreign affairs, things I'm interested in.
There's nothing wrong with these preferences, of course, but in this framework, they reinforce Andy's distance from normal women and their interests or actions.
God, I busted my butt in grad school to be Andy Anderson, the how-to girl, and write articles like how to use the best pickup lines.
All of these traits play into the cool girl trope, that what a guy really wants is a girl with the personality of a guy, someone who loves sports games, beer, and burgers while still looking hot.
Why do they always forget my bacon?
This portrait can also be limiting to men, by dismissing the idea that men could possibly want to engage in any of these supposedly girly activities or behaviors.
I did not have to sit through a Celine Dion concert.
Still, a big part of why Andy gets away with her behavior is because she has the cool girl's fundamental quality. She's phenomenally attractive. This plays into the cliche of toxic takeaway number 4, the hot person rule. If you're gorgeous enough, anyone will want you, no matter what you do.
No guy would go running from you, Andy. You could barf all over him and he would say, do it again.
Despite Andy's admittedly insane behavior and her shady motives, it's taken as a given that Ben still wants to be with her. As soon as she reveals that she regrets losing him in her published article, he runs off to beg for her back.
Are you trying to get yourself killed?
That's what it takes, yeah!
Likewise, it's a given that she'll fall for the equally hot Ben. This sends the message to viewers that they shouldn't work on their personality or worry about starting relationships off in the right way. They just need to focus on looking great, and everything will work out. Speaking of which, toxic takeaway number 5, lying can lead to true love. Andy and Ben's entire relationship is built on dishonesty. Ben is lying to Andy to advance his career as part of a professional bet in order to land a big account.
After I win this bet, this pitch is mine.
Agreed.
And Andy is lying to Ben as part of an article she pitched, which just so happens to be completely unethical and hardly provides a very flattering portrait of female journalists.
poor schmuck she's been pretending to date. Well, not even pretending to date. She's actually dating the guy. She's doing the most atrocious things to him. As
Alex Zaragoza writes for Vice, depicting women journalists as morally ditzy or fully unaware of real ethical lines in their profession proliferates the idea that we're unprofessional, flighty, easily distracted, and willing to engage in questionable behavior because we like someone.
So that's what I was, huh? I was a guinea pig. Somebody you could test your theories on?
But while each gets mad, the other was so bold as to humiliate them.
You used me to get ahead in your work.
You drove me half insane for a goddamn magazine article.
Yeah.
In the end, the film implies that because Andy and Ben are both engaging in mirror image toxic behavior, this must mean they're perfect for one another.
You're mad.
Which leads us to toxic takeaway number 6. Find your equally toxic partner.
True or false? All's fair in love and war.
True.
Great answer.
The couple comes off as empowered by their mutual willingness to go to extreme lengths of lying and manipulation, as if this somehow sets them above normal people.
You left the tickets in the purse.
Yeah.
You are just on a whole different playing field.
The film seems to argue that a person's ideal partner is someone whose toxic traits match up to theirs.
He is nice to see him, Ben.
No.
Good, neither am I.
It's fitting that Andy and Ben's big confrontation is set to a passive-aggressive duet of the song You're So Vain, because it's true.
Ben Barry, you're so vain. Probably think this song is about you.
They're both so sure of their desirability and wiles that they believe they can have any partner wrapped around their little finger.
And that's why I can sell myself to any woman, anywhere, anytime.
Toxic takeaway number 7. Happy ending equals a man. Ultimately, the film implies a happy ending for a woman is settling down with a guy, even if she claims that's not her priority. The solution presented for Michelle's relationship problems isn't for her to take some time for herself or learn to be happy alone, but to change her behavior for the next guy that comes along.
If the most beautiful woman in the world acted the way you did, any normal guy would still go running in the other direction.
Depictions of Andy's boss and Ben's female competitors reinforce the stereotypes that high-powered, successful women are cold and unfriendly.
Do you see any patches or insignia anywhere on my clothing?
No.
It's because I'm not your Girl Scout leader, I'm your boss.
And just as we saw that Bachelor Ben just needed to meet the right girl, Andy is the classic career woman who realizes love is really what she wants and needs for a fulfilling life.
I wanted to commit those certain silly dating faux pas. What I didn't realize was that I was making the biggest mistake of all.
She's just been in denial of this universal need. Her happy ending is giving up the big job interview in DC to be with Ben, even though she's realized she can't achieve her dreams of being a political journalist at Composure.
Feel free to write about anything.
Anything?
Wherever the wind blows you.
Even politics?
Well, the wind's not going to blow you there.
Despite all those toxic takeaways, this movie also leaves us with one meaningful message that just might make How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days worth it. If you do find the right person, they'll overlook your mistakes and crazier behaviors to love the real person underneath.
That perfume you sprayed on my pillow. Well, that smell is gone now. And, Michelle, I want it back.
The film starts out framed as a how-to, addressing people's insecurities that they need to follow the rules and do everything correctly to find love.
It will be sort of a dating how-to in reverse.
What not to do.
But in the end, Andy and Ben develop real feelings for each other when they stop acting.
When your mom hugged me today, she really hugged me.
Sweetie, that's a good thing.
They like each other most when they're not proving some gendered stereotype or pushing some secret agenda, but just being their true, authentic selves.
Smile. Come on, give me a smile. Okay, that's good. That's it. You scared me.
Ultimately, real love means you can throw out the rule book and do everything wrong. It's just about accepting each other for who you are and feeling good when you're together.
Look who made the trip with me.
It's our love fern.
This is The Take on your favorite movies, shows, and culture.
Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us.
Please subscribe and never miss a take.